Hey everybody. So, I'm on my lunch break. I'm a little bit bored. Got to thinking about religion. I thought, maybe I should have a discussion, an open discussion, with you, the viewers. I'm live. You can say something whenever you feel like it in the little live chat there, and I will respond. Unless I'm like on a tangent and I just can't break away, because I'm just too in the moment. That could happen. I go pretty nuts in these things, but wanted to start off by making a few statements here. So, let's start with the Mormons. They have a religious idea. All the Mormons who undergo what's called an endowment ceremony, they're required to wear holy underwear, day and night. Yeah, it's called temple garments. It's supposed to protect them from evil. That's cool, right? All right, and then you move over to, let's say, Islam. The Quran, their holy prophet, the star of the show, Muhammad, in the Quran, he is stated to have taken a wife at like 12 years old. He took a 12-year-old wife. Some people argue she was 9. Some people argue he didn't consummate the marriage until she was 14 or 12. I don't know. There's a lot of heated debate on that one. Hi, what's up? But 9 years old, 14, doesn't really matter. That's a real head scratcher. It's cringy. I'm not a fan. All right, let's see. What else can we talk about? There's also this transubstantiation thing in Catholicism where when they take the wafers into their mouth, it literally turns into the flesh of Jesus. And when they drink the wine, it literally becomes the blood of Jesus. Now, some people in the Catholic faith will tell you that that's not really what they think. They don't believe it literally becomes Jesus, that it's a spiritual transformation. But a lot of them will point blank tell you, no, that wine you just drank literally turned to Jesus' blood. That's fun. So I bring all this up to get to like the crescendo, what I was thinking about that kind of started this whole thought process, and that is all of that, as weird as all that is, it pales in comparison to what I believe is the funniest religious belief ever, bar none, hands down. See, I was raised a Jehovah's Witness, as most of you know. And the funniest idea that I can think of is that you have this grand, all-knowing, all-powerful creator who started, has always existed, always will exist. He created everything on this planet. The heavens, the stars, the galaxies, black holes, supernovas, all this really intense, impressive crap is going on all around us at all times. But what does he want humans to be doing on Sunday morning? Well, he wants them to put on their business suits and go to the local Jehovah's Witness Kingdom Hall and sit down and start underlining paragraphs with a highlighter and then repeating what they highlighted during the Sunday meetings. To me, that is the most hilarious thing. Like, just think about it. This all-knowing, powerful God who created everything. And the meaning of life is for you to put on your business suit, go down to the Kingdom Hall, underline words. I can't deal with it. I can't deal with it. There are so many people who are just fine with these ideas. You know, and okay. So a lot of people will argue, well, see, you're using human reasoning, you're using human logic to try and make sense of something that's beyond your grasp. This is just the way he wants it. Clearly, because of that holy book. It says right there, this is what he wants. Although, to be fair, the Bible never said anything about putting on business suits and highlighting paragraphs in the Watchtower. But, anyways, my point being, the argument could be made, well, you just don't understand because you're human, you're sinful, you don't have the right heart condition. That's why it doesn't make sense to you. So, when I'm trying to figure out what's really going on here, and whether or not these beliefs make a lick of sense, I always like to do something to put it all into perspective without my own flawed opinions and ideas. And that is, look at nature. I grew up going to Catholic schooling, and we were always taught that the priest has to, like, bless the bread and the wine before. Huh, that's interesting. So maybe it has to be blessed before it turns to the literal body and blood of Christ? Is that what you're saying? But, yeah, nature is really... I think that's the standard that you should base beliefs on, because if there is a God who created all this other stuff has to be giving you a clue as to where his brain's at, right? What his personality is. All right? So if you have a religion that says any sex other than missionary with a married person is a sin, that's kind of confusing for me. Look at all the elaborate mating rituals in nature. God created these birds with epic plumage, and they're doing these exotic dances and really getting into it to attract a mate. There's some really unholy sex practices in the animal kingdom. I mean, some really kinky stuff. You should look into, especially insects. Oh my God. Sometimes insects have genitalia that detaches from their body into their prey and, like, has spikes to scoop out predators or competition semen just right out. Like, I didn't mean to get so graphic, but that's the animal kingdom for you. It's a really depraved, it's a wild place out there, and you gotta wonder, you know, something's going on with this creator. He's got some interesting characteristics to him that I think are not completely reflected by your average Sunday Kingdom Hall goer. And that's another thing. I don't respect any religion that doesn't include dancing into its rituals. Why? Well, I mean, come on. We have all of these really explosive and amazing attributes about us as human beings, right? We have this thing called rhythm. And it's so deeply satisfying when you can get in a groove and you can really just let it all out. And it's a very healing and natural and thrilling thing to do. That was put into us, and I don't believe in the idea that, oh, that's the devil. God would never want you to dance. Don't you think this is all a big experiment by a creator? Yeah, it could be. An experiment? Sure. There's a lot of random stuff in nature that makes you think, wow, if there's something designing all this, seems like he was working out the kinks before he got it right, you know what I mean? But, yeah, dance. You look at, like I was mentioning the bird before in nature, the epic mating ritual dances. That's a pretty common thing in the animal kingdom. We are not the only ones that experience rhythm and dance and expression in that way. So why wouldn't a religious experience take all of the expressions of man as part of its worship? In fact, really, as the Jehovah's Witnesses, which is the religion I was raised with, pretty much discourages dancing. I mean, it's never outright said, but the only time you would ever really dance would be at somebody's wedding ceremony, reception, or something like that. And then it's always, oh, you better not really get into it. You don't want to be displaying any brazen or loose conduct. There's just like the suppression of our very natural instincts and our very natural ways of expression in a lot of religions today. Whereas when you look at something like, well, actually, I'll take that back. Like, there are some Christian churches, like in a lot of the black communities, they really get into the spirit, man, and there's dancing and they're celebrating. They're like running up and down the pews and stuff. That's pretty cool to me. Except for when you think about it, that's almost mirroring pagan religious experiences. If you don't believe me, go to a music festival where there's a bunch of pagans dropping acid and see how they move and gyrate and really get into it, boy. There's a lot of similarities there. All right, guys, what's going on with live chat? Nobody's really... I'm not getting a whole lot of participation here. I wanted this to be way more interactive than it's been so far. Oh, here we go. Yeah, the Holy Rollers. Goat Bone says, underlining and studying the Watchtower used to be a sport in my day. You wanted to impress the guys on roving mics and anyone else who could see your magazine. That's true. Yeah, JW's really wanted to have those paragraphs underlined. And I remember how embarrassing it was when you went to the meeting and sat down and you pulled out your magazine and it was all white. No underlining to be found whatsoever. Xavier Garcia says, do you know anything about human civilization before the many flood accounts across many cultures worldwide? You know, that is a pretty interesting phenomenon. The flood account, the flood belief, the worldwide flood thing is mirrored in a lot of different cultures around the world. You have to wonder if there was some global storm or something that was similar to a flood-like conditions, or is it just kind of like the world as we know it today, where if there's a really good story, it gets spread around the world and adopted by various different civilizations. I mean, look at what we have now. I mean, we've got motion pictures, you know, Hollywood, all these epic superhero movies that find themselves all over the world. Our merchandise, Spider-Man shirts in, you know, Afghanistan, and it could be a situation like that, you know. Somebody had a really compelling belief, and via word of mouth, it just got around. But the argument could be some of these places were too remote for them to interact with each other. There's another possibility there. Some ideas could just be a natural idea or conclusion that humans kind of come to. What I mean by that is most civilizations have probably seen it rain until it began to flood, right? I don't think it's too much of a stretch for every civilization to have one guy who said, I wonder what would happen if the rain just never stopped and it just kept flooding until there was nowhere to go. I feel like that's a pretty easy imagining there for someone who was writing epic tales for their civilization. Wait, whoa, come on. Hey, do you know I can wake up my family members from the organization? My mom has been in it for years, and I need to break that belief. Whew, so I take it you're a JW, Quister Plays Toontown. What's up, Neil? So your parents are Jehovah's Witnesses. unfortunately, there's no one way, there's no magic bullet to wake up your family. But the approach I would take with your parents is to ask them legitimate questions, not from a position where it sounds like you're attacking them, but honestly just asking them questions. You know, like, hey, I read somewhere that there's all these lawsuits because the Jehovah's Witnesses aren't dealing with child abuse correctly. You know, it could be something like that. It could be, you could ask your parents, hey, can you explain to me the overlapping generation? Because I just don't get it, you know? If you made sure that your tone was coming from a place of, I just really want to understand this, then maybe they won't put their guard up and think that, you know, you've left and that you're an apostate or something like that. Maybe while they're trying to look up an answer for you for these really tough questions, who knows, maybe they'll have a light bulb moment. Hope that helps. Neil! He says, the great apostate says, they built the Tower of Babel to be waterproof. True fact. Yes. Yes, they did. I don't know where you got that little piece of foolproof reasoning there, but I'm sure it's absolutely accurate. Yeah, Jason Meyer says changes in climate can cause destructive flooding at any time, period. Yeah. John Duville says, if there was a magic bullet, we would all be shooting. That's for damn sure. Linda Gardner! What's up? That's the great apostate wife. Hi, Linda. Linda James, I mean. I got 2 Lindas on my live stream right now. That's awesome. So I don't know. What else you guys like? What's something peculiar about beliefs or religion? Like an aspect of it that you guys would like to talk about? Anything wacky, or maybe you would like to defend your religion to me, because I've said some pretty naughty things about religion on this little live stream of mine. Anybody? What about in Genesis, where God admits to angels after he kicks them out of the garden that if they ate of the tree of life, they'd be like God? So did Satan really lie? Adam and Eve were that account in Genesis is really interesting to me, and I like to think about it a lot. You have this tree of life, which, by the way, there are a lot of pagan ideas that mention a tree of life as well. And you've got this fruit, which is the knowledge of good and bad, right? They were told not to eat of it. You got to wonder what the point of it was, why God put it there to begin with. That's never touched on. To be continued, I guess. Maybe in the 2nd episode of the Bible, we'll figure all that out. But, so yeah, we were told not to touch the fruit. Adam and Eve, what did they do? They ate the fruit. Because the devil told them, if you eat it, your eyes are bound to be open, and you're going to be like God, knowing right from wrong. Well, immediately after that, they felt naked. There was some enlightenment bestowed upon them in that parable, apparently, after eating the fruit, because they now knew that they were naked. And you gotta wonder, or at least I have to wonder, for me, when I read that chapter now, after all the research and experimenting that I've done, it sounds a lot like the iboga fruit in Africa, which is one of the most extreme psychedelic fruits, or just like one of the most psychedelic substances on the planet. And people who do psychedelics tend to have awakenings and enlightening experiences. There's very divine, very powerful and alien images and sort of experiences that you have when you do these things. So if, let's just say, if the fruit in the garden was a psychedelic and they ate it, now they've gone from, scientifically speaking, a more primitive version of humanity, like a primate type situation, to a creature that has a higher level of consciousness. New synapses are firing. There's more of their brain being accessed. And now they're starting to have more complex thoughts. You know, I think that that's a really, if you were alive before there was a Bible or a government telling you not to eat it, and you ate one, you would trip balls and not know what to do with any of that information, but you would be changed. You would absolutely be changed. The same with the iboga fruit in Africa. I think the stoned ape theory is a really interesting theory. I try to stay a skeptic about everything, but it's definitely intriguing stuff. All right, let's see. There's some questions here in the book of Isaiah. It says, God created the heavens and earth all by himself, all alone. Did God create, or did Jesus? Oh man, I can't even go down that rabbit hole. It's really confusing. A lot of scriptures kind of lead you to the conclusion that God and Jesus are one and the same. A lot of them definitely distinguish them apart. The Jehovah's Witnesses, for some reason, think that Jesus was Michael, an angel, before the whole Jesus phase. You see, Michael was a good angel, but then he had this whole Jesus phase where he was like, I want to be different. He started listening to Panic at the Disco. He dyed his hair black. He came to Earth and was no longer Michael, but became Jesus Christ. What else we got here? John Cedars made a vid about it. Yay! Yay, John Cedars. I'm happy to hear it. There was a leaked Bethel video about being anti-Master Bastion. I don't know what that means. Don't know. John says that I rock. Thanks, buddy. You rock too. Oh yeah, Xavier, there were 2 trees. Yeah, there was some hinting at 2 trees. A tree of life and tree of knowledge of good and bad, which I also find incredibly interesting and very vague. Do tell me more, Yahweh. Don't be so vague. What else we got in here, guys? What else you got for me? JW Pest Control. Just seen the message that we are going live. I thought I'd jump in. Hello from London. Hey! I've been to London. I was just there the other day. I think Jesus was a Gnostic who got a lot of his ideas from India via Zoroastrianism. Neil? I'm going to have to look into that because you just pointed me in a direction that I'm not familiar with, and I don't like it when you know more than me. Neil! You know I don't like it when you know more than me. I'm totally going to research that as soon as I get off of here. I think Hindu is a fascinating religion. Wow. Hindu is very interesting. I love all their gods with the multiple arms. Very trippy, very psychedelic. Oh shoot, what just happened? App on my phone, but Yeah, I made it home, Neil. Thanks to you. I'm never going to hear the end of that. King of Fader says, I just came here to tell you it's not too late to return to Jehovah. It's too late for me, man. I have committed every ultimate sin a few times. I'm pretty sure. Most of the really irredeemable sins. What are they called? Unforgivable sins? Whatever. You get the idea. But yeah, Hindu is a really interesting religion, as well as Buddhism. Buddhism is not so much religion, so much as it's just a bunch of ideas. There's no, like, actual God that you worship, I don't think, in Buddhism. But I do enjoy the idea of reincarnation. It kind of explains to me some human behaviors and how some people can just be so beyond their years. They're called old souls, right? The term old souls, I think, originally referred to reincarnation. They're souls that have come here many, many times. When they die, they return to this life stream type situation. And they return back into another body over and over and over again. And that kind of is fun to consider, and it kind of makes you, kind of explains why there's some people who act like children their entire lives and never grow up, never become more and more wise. They become erratic and jealous and petty over the slightest little things. And while others can keep their cool, they can be calm, collected. They can see multiple sides to any one situation. They can look at people and situations from all angles, not just their own bias. I think these types of people are old souls. If you believe in, like, reincarnation, which, like I said, I try to remain a skeptic. But it's really fun to entertain some of these ideas. And the Hindus, they believe that all life is sacred, so, like, they're vegetarians, I believe. Which, again, is a little bit more compatible with nature than, say, this God who had all the Israelites sacrificing animals on a bloody altar. It's like, I don't know. It's not really nice, is it? What's going on here? People grow up fast when they come from tough backgrounds. That's true. A lot of times they do. But I know some people. I also know a lot of people who went through really tough backgrounds and they became really shitty people. Drug addicts and wife beaters. And they never learned to be wise and good people. My Stacy is on. It's about time. I waited to end this until you got on and said something. The Garden of Eden is a parable. The fruit is church, kingdom hall, etc. And the serpent represents religious leaders, elders, governing body, pope, etc. I know I bit it. Kathy, that's interesting. I like that. Sins against the spirit. Thank you, Neil. I've sinned against the spirit so many times it's not even funny. Terence McKenna said the universe is made of ideas. Xavier, I'm glad you brought up Terence McKenna. If you guys ever get a chance, if you got some downtime, and you want to really explore the most wild and thought-provoking ideas possible, Google search Terence McKenna, watch some of his lectures, or listen to some of his lectures. The man has so many cool ideas, and I really like the way he looks at existence. It's a very refreshing view for me. You think Adam and Eve took a fruit from the tree and sowed the seeds outside the garden when they were kicked out? So you think Adam and Eve took the fruit of the tree and spread the seeds around outside of the garden? I don't think God would have let them steal more of the fruit after them getting in trouble. but I would have. I immediately after tripping balls on an iboga fruit, I would have been like, you know what, God, I know you're kicking me out, but I'm taking some of this with me because it's good stuff. All right, bye-bye. All right, well, this has been fun, but I think I'm gonna go. Now they're asking why Jesus is black, or if he should be black, or I don't know. No, I can't start over, Stacy. I gotta go. My lunch break is nearly over, but this has been fun. I'm probably gonna do more live discussions like this in the future if I get a topic in my brain that I just want to spitball and share with you, get your input on. I have lots of these weird thoughts running through my brain, and it's good to have an outlet. One question from Stacy Lopez. Yes, Stacy Lopez, what's your question? What? What's your question? She's mad. She just got here, but I'm ending the... Her question is, how many tacos do you think Jesus could eat in one setting? Being perfect. She's teasing me because my roommate the other day, I kid you not, my roommate bought 24 Taco Bell tacos. He bought 12 taco boxes and brought them home, knowing that it was just me and him that were going to be trying to eat these. And we ate a lot of them. I'm not even ashamed. James! Get out of here, James. I love Stacy. She's my boo. Back off, buddy. We're gonna be fighting. Are we talking Taco Bell tacos or other tacos? Okay, fine. I don't know, all right? I don't know how many Jesus could eat being perfect. I imagine Jesus being perfect could be, he could win every one of those competitions for how much food you can eat. Like, I'm sure, like, if it was hot dogs, tacos, it wouldn't matter. Probably hundreds, thousands even. You know how he took the fish and the bread and just, like, replicated it to all the people in the crowd? He could do that only in reverse into his stomach. Like, the moment he shoved taco down his throat, it would just magically evaporate and his metabolism would be super fast, and that's the answer. 1 million tacos, Stacy. All right, guys, it's been fun. I'm gonna end it now. Bye, guys. Faithful Slave. I'm out.